Good morning. Good morning, traders. How are you all doing today? Karibuni sana. Glad to see you all. A lot of familiar names joining us this fine Monday morning. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone also had a great weekend. So we can jump straight into it. So hello, everyone. How are you doing today? My name is Mitch Paniero, and I'm a trader with Afriforex. I want to welcome you to another Afriforex daily analysis session. Now, you do know during these webinars, we as the Afriforex team, we analyze the markets, we identify what trading opportunities we would be looking at taking for the day, and we do end up sharing that information with you. As usual, not here alone. We do have John, who is here in the back office. So he'll be here to assist you whatever questions or queries you might have. So feel free to ask those questions either in the Q&A section or in the chat box. But remember, the best place to ask those questions would be in the Q&A section, since I will be addressing all those questions at the end of the webinar. So let us jump straight into it. So as usual, we'll start off with sharing my screen. So we'll start off here with our watch list. So quickly go to watch list. So it's around. So on Friday, this was our watch list. We were looking for selling opportunities on the euro, the Canadian dollar, the Swiss franc, and the US dollar. And we were looking to mix and match those four pairs with also the pairs on the buy side. So that was the New Zealand dollar, the British pound, the Australian dollar, as well as the Japanese yen. However, today, not much of a change. However, just one change that we can talk about, it is the yen pairs. So last time, or at least on Friday, we had the New Zealand dollar, British pound, the Australian dollar, and the yen was on the buy side, which you can see today it has moved to the sell side. So we'll be focusing on these three pairs. On the buy side, the New Zealand dollar pairs, mix and match them with the pairs on the sell side. Do the same thing with the British pound as well as the Australian dollar before we do have a look at the indices, as well as gold and silver. So as usual, we'll start off the pairs that we did have on Friday that we're not going to be looking at today. Then we will focus on today's pairs. So most of the pairs, as we've just identified, it is the yen pairs that we're not going to be looking at today. So looking at the euro against the Japanese yen, there was clearly no sign for us to actually look for those selling opportunities. You can see the three areas that we had pointed out, potentially look for those selling opportunities. During the London session, or at least when we're having this session early in the morning, the price was within this particular buyer's area. We did see the price attempting to come down lower. We did mention that if we are able to get the price holding below, there could have been a potential sell. But you can clearly see just after the London session, after the Frankfurt market opened, so this was around 9:30, you can clearly see how the market really got a lot of strength and momentum to go to the upside. Now, the one thing we did want to see, you can see at 10 o'clock, the price looked as if it had broken this area above. So at that point in time, it did fall off our watch list unless we did get the price coming back in and holding below. But unfortunately, you can clearly see the price really went to the upside. Once it did that, this pair did fall off our watch list. And remember, we also keep on mentioning focus on correlation as well to be able to identify whether or not you can actually end up taking an opportunity. So if you're looking for a sell just because we're within a seller's area, could have actually had a look at the other yen pairs, and that could have told you definitely do not take that trade. But remember, the yen pairs are very much correlated. You can see the same thing happening with all of them, where the pairs did really fall off the watch list as soon as the London market did open. So you can see a similar story. We're within a buyer's area. We did want to see the price breaking and holding below, because at that point in time, it did look as if it was breaking this area to the downside. But you can clearly see it was just a probe. The momentum and that strength of the buyer was very, very strong. At that point in time, even though we can see at 10 o'clock in this situation, the price was within the seller's area. The fact that the buyers came up very aggressive, that was not a good place to look for your selling opportunities. Remember, you don't necessarily jump in front of incoming traffic if you want to cross the road. You ideally want the cars to slow down before you're able to cross it. At least you do want to end up doing it safely. So it's a similar situation with these big boy buyers coming in. Would not have been a wise choice to sell. And you can clearly see the price did continue going to the upside. So unfortunately, that pair did fall off our watch list. You can see the same correlation coming in with all these yen pairs. Swiss franc against the Japanese yen was the next one. You can see the price really did break this area to the upside. You can see the idea that we had. We did end up having an alert within this particular area. What we wanted to hope for, at least to see, is the price actually coming back in and holding below. Unfortunately, once the price was holding to the upside, the price never once actually came back in. So unfortunately, this pair did fall off our watch list. And the story is similar on all the other yen pairs. Next one we did have was the US dollar against the Japanese yen. Similar situation. You can see the price really did break off to the upside. Once it did do that, this pair did fall off our watch. It seems that the big boys, initially there was some yen strength that did end up coming in early in the morning. but it clearly shows that the London big boys were more interested in jumping in on selling opportunities on the yen, and that is why it is on the sell side for us today. So that is it for all the review pairs. Now, remember, guys, if you manage to take any setups based on things that we do share, Mondays, we don't necessarily always display the screenshots that we did get. But shout out to all of you who did manage to send them into us on Friday. But remember, if you do manage to get any setup based on things that we do share, feel free to send them into us. Our contact details are in the chat box. Remember, we're doing this, or at least the reason why we ask you guys that is to see how your trading is, to see how we can end up improving on this service that we are giving you guys. We don't want to just be coming here telling you all this and no one is actually using this information. So just let us know if you're having any trouble or any issues. Send in your screenshots, send in your questions or queries. There should be contact details in the chat box, and we will see how we can be able to help you out. So let's jump on to today's pairs. So as usual, we'll start off with the pairs, at least on the fewer side. So we'll start off with the New Zealand dollar pairs, mix and match that with the pairs on the sell side, then do the same thing to the British pound as well as the Australian dollar before we do have a look at gold, silver, as well as the indices. So we'll start off here with the euro against the New Zealand dollar. Now on Friday, this is a pair that we were meant to be looking for selling opportunities. It is still the same situation today. Can't see how the price did end up reacting. We did end up adjusting the level slightly, but these are the three areas that we did have on Friday. So we did want to see whether or not the price could either hold below this area or potentially come all the way to the top. So during the London session, so at 10 o'clock, the price was within a seller's area, but we did not get the price actually holding below. You can see that initially when we're having this session, we did see the price was all the way down here. Remember pointing out, do not chase the market. If anyone who was selling right there, all their stop losses will be above within this area. And you can clearly see the price managed to get all the way up to the top, giving a pullback during the London session. A bit during the US session, because you can see at 3 o'clock, we did get a pullback. The price attempted to go up, but as you can see, the price at the top there, right at the top, it was there at around 430 or so. And you can see there was a nice selling opportunity within that time. So remember, that's the reason why we always point out these times. 10, 3, and 430, there is most likely to give you an opportunity to actually look for your trade or manage your trade. But at that point in time, don't necessarily start looking for an opportunity then. Ideally, it should have already set itself up before you actually see the market moving. So the times that we mentioned, 10, 3, and 430, that's when the market actually start taking off. So you can see it did end up giving us the pullback the whole of Friday. But during the US session, we did end up getting the price coming down lower. We adjusted the middle level slightly because we've identified that this seems to be a bit more accurate within this area. You can see we did get a slight pullback. This could be even considered a probe right here, the way the prices ended up just bouncing, or at least not necessarily breaking above this level. You can see every time it goes up, it's coming back in. Tries to go up. In this situation, there was a small hold, but it came back in. You can clearly see the pullback to that area before the price started coming down. So overall today, the bias here is still to look for selling opportunities. It seems that we needed to incite a few buyers in order for us to sell, and that does seem to be happening now. So our focus, let's move these levels slightly. Our focus will be on these three levels to still look for selling opportunities today. So the aggressive sellers right there at the top. So as long as we're holding below these aggressive sellers right here, our bias is to look for selling opportunities. Right now, it does seem we're attempting to break this support and resistance area to the downside. We are potentially getting a hold. However, you can see that's the exact same thing that happened on Friday. Many people would have been jumping in on selling opportunities so late, not necessarily having a clear indication of where you're meant to actually put your stop loss. So in our situation right here, what I would possibly be waiting for is to actually get a proper confirmation. If we get the price coming back in, really holding below, then at that point in time, I would be looking for a selling opportunity. Right now, I would not jump in on that because even within this situation, there's a possibility that the price can still come back all the way even till this particular area. So we can see there's a major support and resistance area that does seem to be holding, maybe probing within that location before we do end up seeing the price coming down. You can see that's the exact same thing that happened on Friday. And at that point in time, most people would think that this price is actually going to continue going down, and yet we needed to get a better price before we now start attempting to come down. So don't be surprised that if the market is actually able to do that way. So I hope that is clear on what we're looking at. We're looking at sells, but right now as the market is on the move, remember, we always want to sell within a seller's area and buy within a buyer's area. If you're selling now, you're within an area where buyers have reacted multiple times. So that would not be a good place to look for yourself. Let's wait for a pullback or look for a sell within an area where the sellers that will definitely give your trade a higher probability of working out. So moving on to the next currency pair we do have the New Zealand dollar against the Canadian dollar. This is a pair that we did end up having on Friday. You can see that same correlation, or at least a similar situation where initially when we're having this session, the price was all the way at the top right here. Remember, we did mention that the price has bounced off this area multiple times. The fact that the price has been able to come all the way down within this area, do not be surprised if it does that. And you can clearly see it did exactly that. But we were still interested to see whether or not the price was coming down. If we did get the price actually holding above this area, there could have been a nice buying opportunity then. Unfortunately, you can't see the price manage to continue coming down. From 10 o'clock, as you can see, side pullback side coming in, the price was actually confirmed that it broke to the downside. They zoom in right here, you can see it came down, held below, so that confirmed that this level right here had not been broken. And you can see it did manage to continue coming down all the way till our main buyer's area. And if you do notice the timing, the price was within this particular buyer's area at around 4:30. So you can see after that, once the New York Stock Exchange did end up opening, you can clearly see the buyers really did come in this pair. So overall, our buyers here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. We pretty much have the exact same areas, mainly because all these move to the upside. Right here, this move right there, this move here, and also this move right here. They all are probes, because it does seem that this level right here does seem to be holding it. The price has not been able to actually break and hold above that location. So overall, we'll definitely still be looking for buyers. That's the reason why we pretty much have the same areas we did end up having on Friday. So the aggressive buyers area is all the way down here at the bottom. So as long as we're holding above this area, our buyers should be to look for buying opportunities. We do have our central area right here. Now, there's certain levels that we also need to take note of. So even though right now you can see the prices are attempting to break this area to the upside, let's see if we'll actually get a hold above. And even if we do get the price holding above, please watch out for this seller's area right there at the top. That's definitely an area where we'll be watching out for this blue line right there. And we can also just identify it. There does seem to be another support and resistance area here. You can see how many times the market has bounced off. So the fact that the price came down and the way the buyers came up, you can see the sellers push to the downside was only able to come to this particular area. So there's still a possibility the price can might not necessarily get all the way there, but could end up even pulling back within this area before we do end up actually seeing the price going to the upside. But remember, we're able to get the price reaching to the upside and holding above, we should be able to continue. But do watch out and make sure you manage your trade within that seller's area at the top. So I hope that is clear on the New Zealand dollar against Canadian dollar. So as we move on to the next New Zealand dollar pair, here we have the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc. On this pair, our bias on Friday was to look for those buying opportunities. Now, I had pointed out a certain area. You can see the area that we had highlighted. So the red support and resistance area was all the way down here. We did have a blue support and yellow support and resistance area within this area. But I did point out initially when we're having this session that there did seem to be a small SNR within this area where we could potentially find the market, maybe ranging between this particular location before we do end up seeing the price taking off. You can see the illustration that I had pointed out. So at 10 o'clock, wanted to see whether or not that was going to happen during the London session. Unfortunately, it did not. You can see during the London session, no big boys were interested in taking the price up either higher or lower. That means the big boys were not on this pair. But you do take note, 3 o'clock, or within a seller's area, we did get a pullback coming in, but the price did end up coming back in and bouncing within this buyer's area at 4:30. You can see after that, once the New York Stock Exchange is open, once there was a catalyst for someone to be able to move the market, you can clearly see the price did manage to go to the upside. You can clearly see a similar situation. Once the price went to the upside, there was a pullback confirming that the price was holding above. And you can see it is, or at least it has started continuing to go to the upside. And that's mainly because this is during the Asian session. So today, the bias here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. Right now, the fact that we're within an area where there's sellers, definitely not a good place to look for your buying opportunities. What we need is a pullback to come in. We'll be looking to see whether or not we can get this pullback coming in within these particular areas. Just adjust this level slightly. So we will have the red support and resistance area. Similar situation to where we did end up having this blue line right there. But I can't be able to delete it right now because that was me showing you what we were looking at on Friday. So overall, we'll still definitely be looking for buys as long as we're holding above this area. Right now, the way the price has come up, you compare how the buyers came to the upside, very strong. But right here, as they're pushing to the upside, they don't necessarily look as strong as they did the first time. So there's a possibility that the buyers are starting to slow down. and maybe this price might not have been good enough. So if it's not good enough, we might end up seeing the price actually giving us a pullback, attempting or at least inciting people to actually look for selling opportunities. All those people who are like jumping on buys, their stop losses below here, they end up getting stopped out. They will actually end up switching their bias, start looking for selling opportunities. And that's exactly what us as buyers we actually want to see. So if we do see the buyers actually reacting, the price is holding above, it could be a very nice buying opportunity then. But we wait to see what ends up happening. Right now, we never like chasing the market. And remember, most people know the basics of trading in terms of how the market moves up, it's higher highs and higher lows. So right now, we're at the highest high. So we need a higher low in order for us to look for the buy. So until that happens, there's no trading opportunity for us. So wait to see what ends up happening in the New Zealand dollar against the Swiss franc as we move on to the next New Zealand dollar pair, which is the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. Now, this pair, our bias on Friday was to look for buying opportunities. You can see the 3 A's that we had pointed out. Now, 10 o'clock during the London market open, price was within a seller's area. We did not want to jump in on a buying opportunity that just yet. You can see the London big boys actually started giving us a pullback. Wanted to see how what the price was actually going to react. You can see we did end up attempting a probe right here. And you can see the illustration that we had pointed out. Price could probe to the downside and comes up, but as it's coming back down, we want the price to actually hold above. So in this situation, we had the first step where it looks as if it came down, went to the upside, but as it was coming down, the price never held to the upside, it actually continued. So at that point in time, there was no trade, but it seems that this needed a bigger probe. So you can see that the price came down, managed to end up coming up quite aggressive. So this was a bit later on during the US session, so at 4:30 or so to 6:30, that's when the market actually broke through the upside. So you can clearly see these levels, or at least these two levels, do still seem to be holding, potentially within our range. So in terms of the market structure. So overall, we will be focusing on looking for buying opportunities based on these 3 areas right here. So aggressive buyers right there at the top. The fact that we are potentially ranging, we will be looking to see if we can end up getting this price giving us a potential pullback within this area for us to look for a buying opportunity then. So similar situation what we're looking at on Friday. The fact that within a seller's area, no trading opportunity for us just yet, unless due to the fact that the market is ranging. Let's see if we can get a breach to the upside and a hold below, above that area for us to look for a buy. But remember, price has done that multiple times. I've seen what has happened in the other pair. You can clearly see, even though the buyers come in very aggressive, don't just start chasing the buy thinking that it will continue going up higher. You can clearly see the prices can easily reject, even though it's come up so high within before. As long as the price does not hold above that area, that level has not been broken. So unless we do end up seeing that and the price holds above, that's the only time we'll be able to look for those buying opportunities. But we will still need to make sure we manage our trade within this blue support and resistance area, just in case those sellers do end up coming back. So hope that's clear on the New Zealand against the US dollar. So we move on to the last New Zealand dollar pair, which we do have. It's a brand new entry on our watch list. This is the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. Now remember, the yen pairs did end up moving to the sell side, or at least the big boys really did decide to show a lot of weakness on the yen. We really did see the prices going to the upside. It's a similar situation right now. Yes, it looks like the price has broken and held above. However, we always want to buy with strong, even though we say buy with buyers, sell with sellers, we also want to buy with the buyers who are actually strong. We don't want to buy with buyers who are weak and who will struggle to actually take the market up higher. So you can see even the first time, the price was really aggressive. So if the price is aggressive, any pullback after that, you can be able to take that buying opportunity. But if you end up looking at the way the buyer is starting to come up right here, they do seem to be much weaker, especially if you compare with how they came up this first time right there. So definitely do not want to start jumping in on buying opportunities just yet. A pullback is definitely needed. So be waiting to see if, because this will not necessarily fully confirm that this level has fully been broken. I think we'll be waiting to see if we can end up getting a pullback. All these buyers who attempted here potentially could work within that area, but we'll be waiting to see if we can get the price actually coming in and holding within this particular area for us to look for buying opportunity. We'll wait to see how it ends up reacting within this particular area. But the fact that the price has really gone to the upside, guaranteed, there is no one who is actually thinking that this is a sell. Everyone is jumping in on buys, not realizing that we need to incite a few people to sell in order for us to buy. So since it's very obvious for the buy, we're not going to jump in on it. Let's wait to see if we can get that pullback coming in. Then we'll end up looking for those buying opportunities on the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. So hope that's clear on the New Zealand against the US dollar. So we move on to the last New Zealand dollar pair, which we do have. It's a brand new entry on our watch list. This is the New Zealand dollar against the Japanese yen. Now remember, the yen pairs did end up moving to the sell side, or at least the big boys really did decide to show a lot of weakness on the yen. We really did see the prices going to the upside. So I hope that is clear on the game plan here as we're looking at the New Zealand dollar pairs. So you can see we've mixed and matched the New Zealand dollar pairs with all the pairs on the sell side. So we're going to jump into the British pound pairs and do the exact same thing. So we'll start off with the euro against the British pound. So you can see the three areas that we had pointed out on Friday, whereas we were looking for selling opportunities. The price at that point in time did look as if it was breaking this area to the downside. We wanted to get confirmation that the price was actually going to hold below for us to look for ourselves. But you can clearly see the price actually ended up coming back in. We're hoping to see maybe either coming back all the way to the main seller's AM or a hold to the downside. Unfortunately, it did not do either or. It actually did where it came back in, but instead of coming all the way to the top, it seems that where the seller started pushing from right there, that's where the price kept on going back to. So you can see the timings at 3 o'clock, the price was there. We got a slight pullback at 4:30. The price was still within that area. So let me just move this to make it a bit clearer. So you can clearly see the price managed to get and still bounce within that seller's area. So even though at times we end up pointing out these locations, we're not prophets on the charts to end up saying it has to work within this location. We're giving our best idea of what we would be looking at doing. Sometimes this is what happens. But remember, the story ends up still being the same. The price was within a seller's area within one of the market opening times, and it did end up giving a nice selling opportunity. So today, the bias here is still going to be looking for selling opportunities. We do seem as if we're attempting to break this area to the downside. However, you can clearly see the price has been here before and has gone back up. So we'll definitely still be looking for sells, but we need confirmation that that's an actual real breach to the downside. So remember, in order for us to confirm that, we need a pullback to come in and actually hold below for us to look for selling opportunities there. But until then, you could easily find this market probing, similar to what happened on Friday, where even though we're hoping to see the price coming back in, taking a lesson from Friday, the fact that there's some sellers here, we could end up, even though we couldn't maybe, let's say, expect the price to potentially, it comes back in, potentially come back within this area for us to look for the sell. But if we're taking our learning from what happened on Friday, the same area where the seller started pushing down from, then you can see it's a similar story to today. As we're having the session, the price was looking as if it was breaking an area. So we needed either a hold to the downside or it could end up pulling back in. So we thought that it could end up coming back there, but since the seller started pushing from there, and they do seem to be some sellers here, watch out for that location as well. You never know whether or not the sellers could end up actually reacting again. Similar situation to what happened there on Friday. So I hope the game plan is clear on what we're looking at doing on the euro against the British pound. So moving on to the next British pound pair we do have, this is the British pound against the Canadian dollar. So in this kind of pair, our bias on Friday was to look for buying opportunities. But remember, the British pound is really showing a lot of strength, really pushing to the upside. And we did mention to not chase the market. We didn't end up identifying some certain level. I think we had to go to the daily time frame to end up identifying where this level was. I think it was in around 2016 or 2019 or so. But we did manage to find some sort of SNR within that location. Can see it attempted to break that area to the upside, but the fact that the price never held, that would not have breached. And you can clearly see all those late buyers can see in the fact that the price daily did end up moving quite aggressively to the upside, especially if we count this number of pips. This is around 60 pips or so. So most people at that time, all those late buyers, even if they were trying to hide their stop loss, where would they have hidden their stop loss? Below these buyers. And you can see the price still did give us a pullback, coming back all the way within this area. Any bar right there would have been stopped out. And you can see the price ended up giving us another opportunity. Not a 3. You can see as the price came down to around 430, bouncing within this buyer's area, attempting to go to the upside. So buys did end up working out, but we need that pullback to come in. So today, we'll still be looking for those buying opportunities, but we need to be identifying where we are right now within the story. So the fact that we're within an area where there are sellers, definitely no buying opportunities for us just yet. We'll be focusing on these 3 areas. So we need one of 2 things, either a breach to the upside, or we can end up actually getting the price coming back in within one of these support and resistance areas for us to look for those buying opportunities. But for now, let's wait to see what ends up happening. Remember, if we are able to get the price breaking, so breaking this area to the upside and we get the price holding above, then we should be able to look for those buying opportunities there. So I hope that is clear what we're looking at doing on the British pound against the Canadian dollar. So moving on, here we have the British pound against the Swiss franc. Now, on Friday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities, and you can see the three areas that we had pointed out, initially looking for those buys. Now, during the London session, 10 o'clock, the price actually started breaking this area, the upside really going above. And remember, we did point out either we needed to get a breach and a hold above or getting a pullback. But it seems that the British pound was really showing a lot of strength. Because the price went up, we did end up getting a slight pullback coming in within this particular area. There was a small trade. I will end up displaying the screenshot once I do end up getting it. Apologies, I forgotten to bring that up. But we actually ended up taking this trade during the AMP class that we did end up having on Friday. So we looked at this trade. We read how the market was going to go. We had a very tight stop loss of around 5.7, around 6 pips. And the market did manage to go around 20 pips, which did give us at least reward of 1.3.5. So even though it would look very small, but there was another opportunity that did end up happening later on where the price really did continue. Obviously, if we left this trade, yes, we can end up seeing there was potential of 1:9, but that wasn't the game plan. Remember, we always point out, if you get the price breaking this area to the upside and you're taking the conservative entries, do make sure you manage your trade within those areas, because you can clearly see, even though the price did manage to continue going up, that's not always the case. So remember, the point is here to make money on the chart. So as long as you can continue that process each and every time, you should be good. So this trade worked out very nicely during the London session, as well as during the US session. You can see at 4:30, we did get a pullback in this support and resistance area, and the price really did continue taking off to the upside during the US session as well. So today, the buyers is definitely going to be looking for buying opportunities. But if I ask how the buyers look, if they look strong or weak, you can see initially very strong to the upside. If you compare how they came up first time, second time, still showing strength. Third time, they did manage to go up, but look at how many more candles it has taken for it to do the same thing. And right now, is this the next push going up? Very weak, not able to even make a new high. We need a better price or potentially a discount coming in. So we're definitely focusing on these three main areas, but we wait to see how this price actually ends up giving us a pullback. We'll be able to read the pullback for us to end up looking for a buying opportunity. So just watch out for areas where buyers have reacted from before. You can see there's an area where buyers have reacted from before. That could be a location where you could end up finding the market bouncing off from. Could come back all the way down to here where the buyers started reacting from. But remember, we do not want to chase the market since it's so high up. At what point in time will we actually make our money? Because in order for us to buy now, we'll need to sell it to someone else who is willing to buy it at a much, much higher price. And that's not always the case. So we wait to see. Let's try and get a discount. So if we do buy it at a low price, even if we're not going to sell it at the most highest price, at least we will end up getting a buyer who is willing to buy for us. So we wait to see what ends up happening. But in this situation, nothing much for now. Let's wait to see how that pullback comes in. So moving on to the next pair, we do have the British pound against the US dollar. British pound against the US dollar did something similar with the British pound against Swiss franc. Did end up getting the price holding above this area, but we did not fully take off to the upside. You can see initially when the price did end up managing to break this area to the upside, wanted to see the price coming back in and holding. You can see the pullback came in, did not necessarily get a full hold because the buyers attempted to go up. But you can see at 4:30, we tried to get the price coming down lower. It seems that it was bouncing off this particular buyer's area. So this one did seem to be a bit choppy within that particular location, but that was definitely an area to watch out for. But today, buyers here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. You can see the same correlation coming in with all these British pound pairs. All of them do seem to be within a seller's area, and not much of a reaction is happening. You can see this choppy movements that are actually happening right now as we speak. The price does seem to be just bouncing within this particular seller's area. And remember, we looked at the British pound against the Swiss franc. It's doing something similar at the top. Similar situation, the British pound against the Canadian dollar. So this definitely has something to do with the British pound pairs. So if you do end up finding one of them actually moving based on this correlation, you could definitely end up getting some nice opportunities on most of the other ones as well. So hope that's clear on our game plan of the British pound against the US dollar. So moving on to the last British pound pair we do have, which is the British pound against the Japanese yen. Similar situation with the brand entering our watch list, and our bias here is to look for buying opportunities. You can say I had pointed out as we had looked at the previous yen pair, where the price did look as if it was right there at the top. The bias not necessarily as strong that we need a pullback coming in. I'm happy to see that this pullback does seem to be coming in. Let's wait to see what ends up happening in terms of this particular area. Can end up getting the price pulling back within the support and resistance area. This would be a much better place to look for a buying opportunity. Because remember, in order for us to buy within this particular area right here, we do need sellers to come in. So wait to see what ends up happening there. But there definitely are some sort of small support and resistance areas within these locations as well. So just because we have these three areas, that doesn't mean that these will be the areas that you have to take the trades from. Wait to see how the price approaches this particular area. We do see the price there within one of the market opening times. We do see some sort of reaction. Definitely could end up finding a nice buying opportunity there. But if you don't necessarily know exactly what to look for, feel free to sign up for the AMP course, because that's exactly what we do. Every single day we'll come with you, look for these trading opportunities together and see what we can actually end up with. So hope that's clear on the British pound pairs. As we move on to the Australian dollar pairs. So we'll start off with the Australian dollar, mix and match with the pairs on the sell side before we do look at gold, silver, and the indices. So we'll start off here with the euro against the Australian dollar. Now, in this kind of pair, our bias here was to look for selling opportunities, and you can see the three areas that I had pointed out. Now, initially, the price did end up giving us a pullback, or at least the way the price came down. Did mention that we could potentially find a selling opportunity here, so did end up putting this virtual trade, hoping that the London big boys, as the price did end up pulling back here, would actually end up taking the price down low. But it seems that that's not the case. So remember, we were relying on this being the big boy seller. But the price was holding throughout the London session. Nothing much happened. But once the US session came in around 4:30, the price actually took off to the upside. Just went to stop people out. Every all one of us who would have ended up being a bad trade, but you can clearly see price did end up bouncing off within that area, holding within this particular location. That means also the US big boys were not interested in this. But if you realize during the Asian session, though, so the London big boys not interested, the US big boys not interested, but the Asian big boys today have definitely been interested. And you can see after that market ended up probing within that area, you can clearly see the price has managed to continue coming to the downside. So overall, today we'll still be looking for those selling opportunities. Seems that if we did end up dumping that trade, just being stopped out slightly, but that does not change the fact that the sells are still on. But remember, we do not want to jump in on any selling opportunities just yet as the price is all the way down here. Let's wait to see if we can end up getting a pullback coming in. We're interested to see how this location, at least this area, since we did see the price bouncing off from this area from, thought that it would be a reaction area, but doesn't seem to be it. So let's wait to see what ends up happening here. Right now, definitely no selling opportunities. We need either a breach and hold to the downside for us to continue looking for selling opportunities, or let's see if we can end up getting this pullback coming in. Can still end up pulling back within this area before we're able to look for selling opportunities. Remember, this market could actually just start ranging. This just because the price has come down doesn't mean that it's automatically a full sell. We could end up seeing a range happening within these areas, because for us, we're always trying to focus on buy with buyers, sell with sellers. If we're not within a seller's area and we're looking for sells, there's nothing much for us to do. We look for another opportunity. Because since you can clearly see, that's the reason why we don't just give you guys one trading pair or at least one currency to look at. We give you multiple because that is what we look for. One doesn't work, we'll end up looking for another one, or looking for one that actually fits our criteria in terms of what we're looking for to enter the trades. So moving on to the next pair, we have the Australian dollar against Canadian dollar. Now in this pair, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. You can see this market does seem to be in some sort of range. At 10 o'clock or within the seller's area, no buying opportunity yet. You can clearly see we did end up getting a pullback coming in during the London and US session. The price really looked as if it was spiking to the downside, a bit more than what we thought that it would end up happening. Then it didn't manage to come back in. But you can clearly see after that level was probed, you can clearly see the price still managed to come back to that area. But we need a big boy to move the market. So if you don't find an opportunity at 10, at 3, or at 4:30, and if there are news events and there's nothing that has happened, chances are it could end up happening during the Asian session. You can see that's exactly what happened. Today morning, once the Asian session did come in, that's when the buy actually ended up taking off to the upside. You can see still respecting the same area. So the aggressive buyers area right there, we do have the area where the buyers have reacted from right here. And right now, within the area where the sellers. But if you realize, we've not gotten a breach to the upside. And the fact that we're looking at the market structure and we are potentially ranging, we could potentially end up seeing this price coming back within this particular area for us to look for our buying opportunity. But remember, if the big boys decide to really get some strength to the upside, and we do get the price holding above, then we should be able to look for buying opportunities there. But do make sure you manage your trade within the area, at least the high. So let's say if it gets to a certain high, if you manage to grab your buying opportunity there, make sure you manage your trade within this particular area. So hope that is clear on what we're looking at doing on the Australian dollar against Canadian dollar. So moving on to the next Australian dollar pair, we have the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc. It seems that the Swiss franc was really weak on Friday because those are the pairs that really did take off. So today, or at least on Friday, bias was to look for buying opportunities. Did point out we're in some potential range, and you can clearly see that's exactly what happened. During the London session, wanted to see a pullback coming in. Did not happen. They managed to continue going to the upside at 3 o'clock during the US session. That's when the price was in the seller's area. It did end up giving us a pullback, coming back towards close towards the buyer's area. Fortunately, we missed slightly. So you can see at 4:30, that's when the price started taking off to the upside. But you can see, even though we did manage to get this price breaking this area to the upside, remember what we always point out, once a level is breached, let's get a pullback, confirming that the price is holding for us to take off to the upside. In this situation, it seems that the Australian dollar pairs were not, big boys were not interested in dealing with the Australian dollar pairs on Friday, but it seems that today morning, that's when the markets really did take off. You can see the price pulled back that area and started really moving to the upside. So today, the bias here is definitely still going to be looking for buying opportunities. So we'll be focusing on these three areas right here. So right now, the fact that we're at the top there, we need a pullback coming in, which is definitely what we want to see. This is a very nice pair of interest. Let's wait to see if we can end up getting the price pulling back within this area, slowing down, signs of big boys coming in within that particular location for us to look for the buying opportunity. This level doesn't react, we wait to see. Price can still come back all the way down to this main buyer's area, but definitely we will still be looking for buying opportunities here. So I hope what we're looking at doing is very clear on the Australian dollar against the Swiss franc as we move on to the next Australian dollar pair. Here we have the Australian dollar against the US dollar. Now, bias in this pair is to look for buying opportunities. Similar situation, the market does seem to be ranging. In fact, I do end up pointing out, this is the area that we did end up having on Friday. So even though these were the levels, and you can clearly see the price was within a seller's area at that point in time, at 10 o'clock, wanted to see either a breach to the upside or a pullback. So it seems that it ended up giving us a pullback throughout the London session. Similar situation with the other Australian dollar pair we've had to look at. Price came down 4:30 or so. The price really broke to the upside, but the main move ended up happening today during the Asian session. So you can see today during the Asian session from midnight, this blue line, or at least these lines that you're seeing here, what you call period separators. So just note that in between each and every one of these is a full day. So there's full 24 hours right there and another 24 hours. So we're trying to see, so today morning, this is where the Asian session did end up starting. As you can see, the price going to the upside. Now, we have adjusted the top level slightly. As you can clearly see, we'll still be looking for buys as long as we're holding above this area right there at the bottom. We do have the central SNR level where price has definitely reacted from even today during the Asian session. But we do not want to necessarily put the blue, or at least the top line, just the same place that we had put it. As you can see, there's an area that the price has bounced from before, and look at how aggressive it's come down. So we have adjusted the level slightly, so it's no longer within this area. This is definitely going to be the area that we're going to be watching out for. But we do notice the market structure does still seem to be within a range. So don't be surprised if we can end up getting the price coming back in within this particular area for us to end up looking for our buying opportunity then. So we'll be waiting to see what ends up happening. It does seem to be some correlation coming in with the Australian dollar pairs. You can see all of them during the Asian session moved up and are starting to give a pullback. You can see all of them, the Australian dollar against Canadian dollar, also given the euro against the Australian dollar. You can see during the Asian session, since in this case, the Australian dollar is the counter currency, we'll be looking for sales, but it does seem to be doing the same thing. So if we do seem to be ranging, we might find all the Australian dollar pairs doing something similar. So last but not least, for the currency pairs, we do have the Australian dollar against the Japanese yen. So these are brand new into our watch list. And in this situation, our bias here is to look for buying opportunities. So we've identified 3 areas of interest that we will be watching out for in this pair. So right there, aggressive buyers, or at least sellers right there at the top. So we do not want to jump in on any buying opportunities there. The fact that we're getting a pullback, this is very nice, at least for us. However, look at how strong the sellers are coming in. We're not going to jump in on any trading opportunities just yet. We need a slowdown of these sellers and a sign that the buyers are actually interested in this price. So if we do not see any interest, chances are we could even still be coming back down all the way to where the main buyer started off during the Asian session today, and we could still the buying opportunity coming in at that time. So right now, nothing much for us to do. Remember, we can end up looking maybe at a smaller time frame, the 3-minute time frame. We can be able to read how the pullback is coming in. For once we do end up seeing that slowdown of the seller and we see the buyers coming back in, it could be a very nice buying opportunity for us in this pair. So I hope that's clear on all the currency pairs. As you can see, we mix and match all the pairs on the buy side with the pairs on the sell side. So right now, we're going to have a look at the indices before we do end up having a look at gold and silver. So we'll start off with the NAS 100. So in this pair, our bias on Friday was to look for buying opportunities. It is still the same situation today. So you can see the three areas that we are pointing out are still being respected. And the areas that we were looking at on Friday, as you can see, did end up having these locations. What we wanted to see initially, the price did seem as if it was holding within this particular SNR level at that point in time. But during the London session, we did get the price, sorry, the US session, sorry, so it's from 3 o'clock to 4:30. The price managed to come down lower, bounced off the area that we had pointed out, because I think this was based on a much larger time frame. So especially if we go up to the higher time frame in the 1 hour, this was a support and resistance area that was weak. So the price went up. We did get the pullback coming in, managed to bounce off this area. You can see the buyers who have managed to attempt to go to the upside. But you notice we're within an area where the sellers, we do not want to jump in on any buying opportunities just yet. You can see the last time price did end up reacting within that location and still managed to come all the way down lower. So even though we're looking for buys and we'll be focusing on these areas, we have identified this area could still be an area where the market could react from. So we'll wait to see what kind of pullback comes in. We'll be interested to see whether or not we'll get a reaction within this area. If we don't, and we see the price coming back in, then chances are we'll be looking for our buying opportunities lower. But if not, and we do see the price reacting within this area, and it's there within one of the market opening times, we could end up finding a nice buying opportunity for us on the NAS 100. So hope that's clear. Right now, not just the market, unless maybe we get the price breaking to the upside. But remember, regardless of whatever we're looking for, in terms of any trade, whether it's the conservative or the aggressive area, the main thing we always wait for is a pullback, right? Because in order for us to read that pullback, in order for us to take the buy. So if right now, if we get the pullback coming in, we look for the buy at a lower price. But if we get the price breaking to the upside, we still need a pullback to come in to see and confirm if the price is actually going to hold above for us to continue with those buying opportunities. So hope that is clear on the NAS 100 as we move on to the next indices that we do have, which is the Dow Jones. So on the Dow Jones, on Friday, our bias was to look for buying opportunities. You can see the three areas that we had highlighted. So it does seem that the price attempted to come back down within this particular location. You can see during the London session, nothing much happened. In fact, during the Asian session, you can see from the Asian session right there, the market is just ranging, bouncing, not doing anything. The London session came in, nothing happened. But you can realize once 3 o'clock came in, the US session came in, you can see now that's when we did end up getting a pullback. Did end up missing this area slightly, but can clearly see the price still did bounce off within that location before attempting to go to the upside. So today, bias here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. We are potentially within some sort of range since we've adjusted the level slightly. Right there being at the top of the range and this is at the bottom. So as usual, if we do want to end up buying within a range, best place to look for the buys at the bottom of the range. Nothing much for us to do right here. So the main thing in terms of our game plan on this one, we'll be waiting for a pullback to come in for us to look for a buying opportunity. Remember, trading is a lot of patience. It should be quite boring because you're repeating and doing the exact same thing over and over again. There's nothing exciting about today. You'll trade it this way, tomorrow you'll trade it another way. You have to repeat the exact same way in how you're trading in order for you to really be consistent with the money that you'll also be making. So if you're consistent with how you enter, you'll also look for consistency with your profits that you'll actually be getting. So we'll wait to see what ends up happening here. But for us, we'll be patient, wait to see how the price ends up giving us a pullback in order for us to look for those buying opportunities here. So I hope that is clear on the game plan. Nothing much for us to do right now. If we move on to the next pair that we do have, which is silver. So on silver, on Friday, our bias here was to look for buying opportunities. Doesn't seem like much happened. Remember, during the US session on Friday, there was not really any much of a big boy. As you can see, the price was within this area where the seller. So we did want to see either a pullback coming in or a breach and a hold above. But nothing much happened. You can see during the London session was holding, attempting to break the upside, just ranging within this area. It really broke up very slowly to the upside, but at 3, you can see the price really came back in. This market was quite choppy. It doesn't seem like the big boys were really interested in this pair. But remember, today, buyers is still going to be looking for buys, and we'll still definitely focus on those same 3 areas. Could potentially be in some sort of range, and if that's the case, the story is the same. We want to buy at the bottom of the range. So as the price is coming down now, that's a good sign for us. Let's wait to see how the price is going to come on. Which is air. If we do end up seeing the seller slowing down, definitely we'll be looking for a buying opportunity within that particular location. But if not, price, remember, can still come back down all the way to this main red support and resistance area, and we will still be looking for buying opportunities for silver. But right now, a pullback is coming in. That's exactly what we want to see. Let's wait to see how far this pullback can come in before we'll be interested in buying this. And this being silver, remember, gold and silver, a lot of the indices are mainly more active during the US session. That doesn't mean that they will not be active during the Asia or the London session, but they have a higher probability of working a lot during the US session. Because remember, as a trader, you need to deal with probabilities. Nothing is guaranteed. If that was the case, we would not be trading with a stop loss, or at least there would be no need for a stop loss. But due to the fact that that's the case, we do need to be careful about that. So moving on to gold. Now, gold has been making all-time new highs, but that's a normal thing in terms of any pair would end up making either new lows or new highs. So if yesterday's the new highs, today it's made more new highs, tomorrow it might make more new highs. So you can't necessarily say this is the highest point it's going to ever be. But can see on Friday what we're hoping to see as the price broke to the upside. We do not have any reference to any level at that time. And this one would have been a bit difficult to get because remember, we wanted to see a pullback coming in because we knew this was definitely an SNR that was broken to the upside. But the market just range, bounce off that particular area. It give a small pullback, and it seems that it found some sort of support area within this particular price around 2600 or so. And you can see at 430, that's when the price attempted to really continue going to the upside. So today, our bias here is still going to be looking for buying opportunities. Now we'll be focusing on these 3 areas right here. You can see the reason why we also point out certain levels, and we say, let's wait for a breach and a hold. Remember, we always keep on pointing out, we want to see a strong breach happen. You can see the price did manage to go up. It looks as if the price was going to continue going up. All those people who are buying here, definitely right now are potentially getting stopped out. They are maybe turning their biases and maybe starting to think it's a sell, but guaranteed not everyone is thinking it's a sell. But if the price ends up doing this, so if everyone is watching this support and resistance area and the price comes all the way down here, guaranteed majority of people no longer that point in time will be thinking it's a buy. They'll start jumping in on their sells. At that point in time, once they've got enough sellers, or at least the big boys have gotten enough sellers, and we do end up seeing the buyers showing interest, we could end up getting our buying opportunity coming in there. But remember, that's the reason why we have multiple of these levels, because we don't know when the big boy is actually going to be interested. Is it going to be this price? Let's wait to see what kind of reaction. If we don't see a reaction, we wait to see the price within the next support and resistance area. And we know since this is where the main buyers are, if we do end up getting the price breaking and holding below, then at that point in time, we'll actually be able to look for selling opportunities, because overall, right here, we do seem to be in a buyer's zone, and these are concepts we do end up teaching within the masterclass course. So if you are interested in knowing exactly how to identify those zones, feel free to sign up. I think there should be a link for that in the chat box. So that is it for all the currency pairs, including the indices. So this is the watch list for today, or at least for now. In terms of fundamentals, look at the economic calendar today. So for today, there's not necessarily much. There's a bit of news during the London session. There's a holiday in Japan, the autumn equinox. But we do end up having a number of Euro events, so at least some news events coming out around 30 minutes or so. Can see it more at 11, some GBP news coming out later. So at least there will be activity during the London session that could end up giving us some nice opportunities. But you can also see during the US session, at least we do have a bit of news, not necessarily that much, but at least some PMIs should end up giving us some volatility there as well. So we wait to see what ends up happening, but there should definitely be some movement. Even though it's being a Monday, the fact that there's some news events, that should be a good sign for us. So let me address any questions on the Q&A section, if there are any. Just give me a second. So Um, I'm seeing Alan Rono, you're saying, hi, Mitch, thanks a lot. Karibu sana, Alan. Happy trading to you, and Karibu that you're here. I'm seeing Noel Okiro is saying, good morning. Do you have a live trading session? Then how can someone join? Yeah, currently we don't have any live trading sessions. All that is just done in-house with the traders that we're teaching, like those in the AMP class. There's a sniper unit as well that we do end up linking up with sometimes. But that's where it's more in-house, not necessarily in public. But yeah, you can be able to check out the AMP. You can end up going to afriforex.com. And at least with that one, with the AMP, remember, we're going to be here every day. So even after this session today, we're meeting up with a few of our students later on. And we'll be looking at all these opportunities we've looked at, each and every single pair. We're going to go through each and every one, figure out which one has a nice trading opportunity, which one does not. And that's the reason why even that British pound against the Swiss franc trade, we did end up taking it within that class. And it was a very nice trade because that one ended up showing exactly how we ended up taking it on the 3 minute. In fact, we analyzed this pair together. We identified that there could be a nice opportunity. We saw a slowdown of sellers in terms of buyers coming in, we knew the exact area to look for a buy, and also being able to have a tight stop loss of just 6 pips. So you'll be able to learn such things in definitely the AMP. So feel free to sign up. Yeah, there should be a link in the chat box, or you can be able to go to afriforex.com. You should be able to find the Amplified program, the AMP right there. Feel free to sign up for that. So yeah. So thank you for that, Noel. And I'm seeing Ivy Wanyama is saying morning there. Thank you so very much. Karibu sana, Ivy. Glad that you're here as well, and hope you're finding value in these sessions as well. So I guess that's it. I'm not seeing any more questions. It is approaching the London market open, so we do end up needing to jump in on the charts, at least having a quick look at, maybe get some tea before we do end up jumping into the students. So once again, thank you guys so much for joining me today. Hope you have an amazing trading day. God bless. Happy trading, and bye for now, guys. Cheers.